Good morning, Simpiwe. And I must firstly say, no, there is no looting that we have picked up. All you can see behind me, though, are the remnants of a store or a factory. It's a food storage factory. In fact, I was asking the locals behind the camera with my colleague Kobandi Blom, and I asked them what is going on there. And they said that started burning since Monday. And I asked them, why would people want to loot such a place? And the first thing they told me is that, well, it is a meat storage factory. Everything that pertaining to food, basically meat, protein, is stored in factories such as this. And the stench in the air, as you can see, the smoke bellowing factory, is of a braai, if I can call it that. In fact, on the ground, as I walk away from the camera a bit, there's still shell casings. I'm not going to pick it up. There's also still pieces of meat, chicken feet, walkie-talkies is what we call them in the township. So the remnants of what has been a horrible week, as you heard, well, speaking to your guest house, South Africa has climbed up the rankings, but unfortunately we went down a couple of notches when it comes to how we treat our own infrastructure as South Africans the past week or so. It's been quite devastating. Since arriving in KZN a couple of days ago, it's scenes such as these that we run across. I mean, the sun is out, as Simpiwe, but it is overshadowed. It's dimmed by the smoke coming from that very factory. It's quite a bleak time for many South Africans. In fact, we're in Hammarsdale. As I said, it's around Cato Ridge. And once again, I want to confirm there's no looting that is happening. These are just remnants of a factory. And according to security guards who are asked just behind the camera, they said this started burning as of Monday and has not switched off. In fact, when we arrived, there was also the eThekwini Metro, that's the Metro Police. They were at the gate at the very same place. I think they were just trying to check up on the latest on how it's going on. On the left of camera, that is Hammarsdale, the township. We are going there now to try and see what the mood is on the ground, because we heard yesterday the N3 is now officially open. So food will start trickling back into South Africa, or not into South Africa, apologies, but into Durban. Things like bread will start getting to the people. And from Hammarsdale, where we just came from this morning, Simpiwe, I can tell you that there were stories of people buying a loaf of bread for 30 rand. 30 rand is what people were selling a loaf of bread for. And I had a conversation with a young lady yesterday in Hammarsdale, and they said they burnt the only tuck shop that was on their street. And the next place that they could buy any essentials was the Edendale Mall that we did a story from yesterday, and that too was burnt and ransacked, which meant the knock-on effect, the closest other place they could do is, well, go to Pietermaritzburg Central, and that's town. That means then they had to jump into taxis, at least 2 or 3, buy a loaf of bread, jump into taxis again to get home. So it's been an expensive exercise for South Africans, and hopefully, Simpiwe, we've learned our lessons. Do not destroy the very infrastructure that we wake up one day and be dependent on. I mean, you looted a television set, but what are you going to eat when you do not have a slice of bread or eggs in your cabinet, Simpiwe?
Quite right there, Thabiso. Man, it's a very expensive exercise, because it'll have ripple effects, not only in the medium term, but in the long term, because, so many people will be out of jobs, and so many people won't have livelihoods as a result of this barbarism and this constant looting, Thabiso.
Indeed. In fact, when we spoke to one of the shop owners, one of the businessmen in Pietermaritzburg before we left that town, he spoke about starting off as a street vendor. He was selling cookies, scones and amagwinya in front of the very mall. Now, this mall was turning 10 this year. The very mall was burnt, was turning 10 this year. So starting from there, being a street vendor, he ended up having 3 stores in the particular mall, 3 fully blown stores where he employed over 80 people. He spoke about his dream having gone. But he said, I've got insurance, Thabiso. I'll get this money back. I'll rebuild somewhere else, because I don't know how I can take it if something like this happens to me again at this mall. But I've got an affinity of the Edendale Mall because I'm from the area. My only concern is the 80 people I employ, what will they be doing come Monday morning, because there's no job to go to. Yes, I'll get my insurance, I'll go home and rebuild. What will the mother who had 8 kids that she was feeding from the salary that I was paying her going to do come Monday morning? I think it's still going to hit hard, Simpiwe. And you heard the president yesterday saying we should, rise up as South Africans, as a people. We know who we are. and this is really not us. And with that, I'll hand matters back to you, Simpiwe.
All right, Thabiso, thank you so much for that. Thanks indeed for your update. That was reporter Thabiso Sithole speaking to us live from Hammarsdale.